My name is Yassamin Ansari. At 33 years old, I am the youngest woman currently serving in the United States Congress, a proud millennial, proud Swiftie, proud, proud agnostic, and the proud daughter of two immigrants who fled an authoritarian regime. And I know many people in this room live either in or near DC. We are plugged in, we follow the news, and we feel that something is shifting. We feel the tension in this city, and we know that this is not normal. So today I want to talk about what it is that we are sensing. Something is shifting in the United States of America. Something deep, something dangerous, and something for many of us who are the children of immigrants that feels hauntingly familiar. This is my mom when she was growing up in Isfahan, Iran. In 1979, Iran's monarchy fell, and what followed was not liberation. It was authoritarianism and an oppressive theocratic regime that has lasted for nearly 50 years until this day. Women in Iran were pulled out of school. They were told what to wear, what they couldn't wear, how they had to act, what to do. Comics and journalists were silenced. People were disappeared in broad daylight. Misinformation was rampant. Political opponents were targeted one by one and silenced. A paramilitary force was employed against the population of the country. And it didn't happen overnight. Sometimes we think that revolutions happen very quickly and everything changes suddenly. That's not what happened in Iran. Many people for a long time felt that things would get better very soon. And then 50 years passed. So I want to be honest about where we are now, because right now, in this moment, we are not at risk of authoritarianism. We are living through the early architecture of it. This is my mom when she came to the United States. My grandparents had to make a decision during that time, right after the revolution, a decision that would be difficult for any family to make. They had to send their 17-year-old daughter, my mom, all the way across the world, completely alone, to the United States, because they felt that America could still offer something that Iran no longer could, a future that you could shape. So this is my mom when she was in Delaware, where she came to live with a family friend of my grandparents. And she shared a lot with me over the years about what it was like for her during that time, the immense, painful loneliness that she experienced, the severe depression that she went through, eating disorders, fearful and uncertain about what her future would hold, all alone in a new country. But she built a life anyway, and she always, always taught me and my brother that democracy is fragile, that it can change, and your circumstances can change when you least expect it, and that democracy is something we have to proactively fight for. Authoritarianism happens when the government starts functioning for a few instead of the many. Authoritarianism is when the law is used as a shield to protect the powerful and against the vulnerable. Authoritarianism is when entire communities are targeted, surveilled, or disappeared. Authoritarianism is when agencies like ICE are used against the population of a country, used to separate families and to enforce fear instead of public safety. Authoritarianism also doesn't require the public to be cheering for it. Authoritarianism requires exhaustion. It requires people to feel powerless. It requires people to be checked out, to feel that their voice no longer matters. And when people start believing that they don't have power, that is exactly when power consolidates. Authoritarianism also doesn't require there to be massive tanks on the street. Sometimes it just needs the erosion of our rights, the unraveling of norms, and the breakdown of our institutions. And authoritarianism thrives on isolation and fear. And we know that right now it can feel so difficult to be scrolling endlessly, seeing horrific headlines, and feeling like somebody else must be out there to fix it. When you're the child of immigrants, you inherit two realities. One is this profound, deep-seated gratitude for the opportunity that your family was given. And the other is immense responsibility for ensuring that this opportunity remains for others. My dad also immigrated to the United States from Iran, and I always joke, but I'm actually very serious. He is literally the most patriotic American I have ever met. We could be on the most fabulous vacation abroad, and after a few days, my dad is talking about how much he misses the United States and how amazing it is and how we're so lucky to be Americans and to live in this country. And it is because of my parents and what they went through and what they experienced and what I have been able to achieve because of their sacrifices and experience that I decided to run for Congress. And I didn't go to Congress to manage decline. I went to Congress to build the future. But the American dream, as we have grown up to hear about it and dream of it, it's not that it's dead, but it's outdated. This idea of an American dream, a future that you can shape, it needs work and it has to evolve because the old American dream was built very much around the individual, right? Put your head down, get your work done, work hard, and you will build a good life for you and your family. But we cannot solve the challenges of this moment alone. The challenges are just too big. Affordability crises, climate catastrophes, corporate consolidations, inaccessible healthcare, and now the rise of artificial intelligence and this industrial scale of misinformation that means that the truth is being distorted faster than we can even verify it. And companies are profiting off of this. Loneliness is profitable, misinformation is profitable, and algorithms are literally designed to make sure that we are isolated, that we are polarized to hate one another, and again, that we feel powerless to make any sort of change. So, the American dream has to evolve. We need the new dream. And the new dream is not about the isolated self. It is about the connective we. The new dream has to be about belonging. We have to come together for the future. And as a former city councilwoman and now as the youngest woman in Congress, I just want to say that we are all much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And we have a lot more autonomy, thank you, in this moment than we give ourselves credit for. I know that democracy can feel very distant. Right now, it feels very bureaucratic. It feels far away. It feels like something that we watch, but not something that we touch or that we are a part of ourselves. But here are a few very simple ways that any person can get involved. First of all, registering to vote if you are eligible and actually voting in every single election, not just the presidential. Go to a public meeting, just one. Start there. Get your news from more than one source and take an extra 2 minutes to verify that news before you spread it. Call your elected officials. I promise you that we notice this. And most importantly, reconnect with your neighbors because authoritarianism thrives and authoritarian movements thrive with isolation and with fear. Community is an antidote. When I was on the Phoenix City Council, we really harnessed the power of community budgeting, this idea that real people can determine how public funds are spent. And I had a very young team, and we were very excited to get a lot of our quote-unquote radical policies implemented very quickly. And if you know local government, you know that there is an incredible capacity to make a difference in local government, but it can also be very slow. There's a lot of red tape, a lot of absurd red tape, and my team and I always did everything that we could to cut right through it. So I want to give you one example that I'm super proud of. This is an empty city lot, and it's called the Estrella Civic Space Park, or what should be the Estrella Civic Space Park. For 35 years, the city of Phoenix promised this community that there would be a big regional park built nearby. When I knocked doors 6-7 years ago during my first campaign for political office, this is all that moms in this neighborhood were telling me about. That they moved to this neighborhood 20 years ago because they were assured that this 95-acre parcel of land next to them would be developed into this beautiful, amazing, big regional park with an aquatic center and playground and a library, and that their kids, they had these dreams of their kids growing up, going to this park, summers in the park, the things that make childhood a childhood. And they told me that and one mom told me specifically that their kid had grown up, gone to college, and there was still no park. So in Leslie Knope and Parks and Rec fashion, I made it my life's mission to deliver this park for this community. And we got to work. So the city of Phoenix was doing a general obligation bond. That means $500 million was on the table, and $2 billion of projects had to be narrowed down to this $500 million. And this park, once again, had somehow ended up at the bottom of the list. And so we organized, we decided to make all the phone calls needed. We called school board members, we called moms, we called teachers, we called principals, and we organized the hell out of this community. And we got people who had never called into any sort of public meeting or had never shown up to a public meeting to come and speak in favor of building this park and why it matters. And after about a year of hard work and building up of community power that truly never existed in this area before, the park went from the very bottom of the list to the top 6 priorities of the city, and it's breaking ground finally very, very soon. This was all about reclaiming, it wasn't just about a park, right? It was about reclaiming a community's power, a community's autonomy, and that cultivation is now building even further into advocacy for more things for this neighborhood, a community that had been long underserved in the city of Phoenix. But it's not just about community power, right? We know that we also need national reforms to make people believe in the system that they've lost trust in. The new American dream can only be possible if people don't feel like they have to choose between paying their rent or getting groceries that week. The new American dream, participating in community building and democracy, also isn't possible if your fundamental concern on a daily basis is your economic survival. First and foremost, we have to make sure that we make power honest again. We have to establish antitrust laws and break up monopolies that are driving prices up, especially oil and gas companies that are gouging working families while making record profits. We have to pass real ethics reforms for Congress and for the Supreme Court. We have to ban members of Congress from being able to trade stocks, period. And we have to make sure that there's transparency in our elections, get big money out of politics, and make sure that billionaires aren't able to decide who represents us. It's also really important to continue to pass, or for the first time, pass transformative policies that will make life more affordable for Americans again, so that a young family can have the option of buying a home, so that people and families can put food on the table, and so that healthcare is a right. And I want to say something directly here, because I'm sure it's what many people in this room, and I know across the country, are feeling, because I hear it every single day from my community. People aren't exhausted because they don't care. People are exhausted because they have cared and they've been disappointed. And apathy, I believe, is not the absence of belief, but the exhaustion of belief. And authoritarianism that we are experiencing right now in this country and in many parts of the world thrives in that exhaustion. So to rebuild the American dream and to have a new dream for this country, our work is not just political. It is emotional, it is relational, and it is deeply, deeply human. So I want to close by going back to my mom. This is my mom. This is obviously us when we were kids, and my mom worked in healthcare. She also spent her evenings and her weekends mentoring and tutoring new refugee families who'd come from all over the world. Phoenix is a big hub for welcoming city for refugees. We have folks from Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria, many communities over the years. I have many memories and videos on my iPhones, the old ones, of my mom at 10 o'clock at night, sitting at the kitchen table, calling our senators, giving her feedback. And always, relentlessly, my memory of my mom and her role in my childhood is her reminder to me consistently that democracy is fragile. Her experience is what taught her that. And she is somebody who, watched her country change in ways she never expected. And as a result, she was able to give me an incredible childhood, a childhood of choice and joy and just love and happiness, all things that she had lost prematurely. My mom also knocked thousands and thousands of doors for each of my campaigns. And the night that I won, I can't tell you the emotions that I felt just feeling that, as somebody who was so lucky to have been born in the United States of America, where this was even possible for me. How lucky I was, and what an immense responsibility that was to future generations, and really that my mom and I had built something like this together. And I know many of us in this room, everyone in the United States, we're either immigrants, children of immigrants, grandchildren of immigrants, great-great-grandchildren of immigrants. We all have a story. And as part of that story, we inherit resilience. We don't need to be taught resilience. Many of us feel it deeply. We also inherit memory, and that memory gives us this very real awareness right now that something is shifting in this country. And I want to ask you to look around your own lives, your neighborhood, your conversations, your current sense of safety and belonging. Something is shifting, and you're not imagining that. And we each have a very real responsibility to take part and make sure that we're doing everything that we can to stand against the rising tide of authoritarianism. And the American dream, while outdated, not built for this moment, our job is not just to ensure that that doesn't slip away. Our job is to build the new dream, one that is rooted in dignity, in shared power, and making sure that we, every day in our lives, enact the very simple and radical act of caring for one another. Thank you.